Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. This is Abdul Rahman Khan. I'm your host again, and this is the Art Channel. Thank you for joining me today. It's been a little while. Kind of got busy with mostly work. As you know, I'm a pharmacist by trade. So I wanted to follow up on first what we talked about last time, some football, the AFC NFC weekend games and how they ended up previously. So obviously we had the Ravens and the Chiefs in the first game at 3 o'clock, and a lot of us, I think it was a little disappointing in terms of seeing what the Ravens have had all season, how well they've played all season. And then turns out that in the biggest of games, they really just deterred from what their game plan has been all year and how successful they've been all year through the run first option. I mean, they've been honestly a very well balanced offense, pass and run. But in terms of what they did in this past AFC game, was not really true to their identity. They rarely had any rushing calls in terms of play calling. Now, obviously, for the most part, between Lamar and not Justice Hill, but Gus Edwards, they had about 8 total rushes, right? And they averaged about almost 7.1 yards per carry or 7.4. Can't remember off the top of my head, but that was a great. Obviously, they had great success in the few times they did run. The only issue is they didn't do that often enough. Even when you've seen if you run back and watch the game again, you see some opportunities they had to run the ball. It just doesn't make sense, Seems like they're kind of a little almost set on proving that they can win a game by, through the air, by passing. And of course you can, but, why do it if you have the option to avoid it, right? So if you have other options, you change up game to game. But of course, the Ravens, now obviously, hopefully they'll learn from this when moving forward for next season. They did lose Mike McDonald this offseason, but it's going to be a hard one to recover from. He's a great defensive coordinator, but he's headed into the right culture. The Seattle Seahawks seem to be fitting right into who he will be in the future. Right? He's a very defensive-minded coach, and that's what the Seahawks have been the last 10 years or so with Pete Carroll. That being said, so again, great win for the Chiefs, of course. They still have the same questions as we had. Obviously, they only put up 17, but again, credit to the Ravens defense, who played amazing after the first quarter and a half. But the Chiefs still just don't seem like the typical Chiefs of the past in terms of offense, but their defense has been amazing, right? They are truly a great defensive team. Showed what they did against the Ravens. They've been solid. Now, their weakness is the run defense, and we'll talk about how that can play a role in the Super Bowl. So what our main purpose today is to preview the Super Bowl. But before we get to that, so great win and congratulations to the Chiefs for winning the AFC game and headed to the Super Bowl. The other game was the Lions 49ers, and if you watch my previous video, what I predicted about the Lions, I mean, they played exactly that, right? Their number one question was the pass defense. It came into question. Brock Purdy honestly had a great game. He's always had questions about him, right? I think he's still proving himself. For some people, of course, they're fully Purdy believers, and that's normal, right? That's okay. Everybody's on a different page about every player for the most part. You're never going to find the whole NFL fandom to be on single page about one specific player. So Brock, but he made some plays with his legs, with his arms, outside the pocket, scrambling, etc. I mean, he really played a great game in the second half. The first half, the Lions looked like they were going to run away with it. Now, my prediction was the Lions are going to have a great offensive performance. They did. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, both were going to be a big part of it. They were. Jared Goff played great. And, it just seems like the Lions were a little too aggressive for their own good. And, of course, you can respect that they stuck to their identity. Dan Campbell's a very go-for-it guy. And that's okay, but, it can fire back. It can also give you some positive results as well. So it's just, what you get, you get. So if there was a time to go for it on fourth down, it was right before the half of the Lions, rather than going for the field goal. But then later you go for the field goal. Just maintain your lead. Especially with your defense playing so well and only allowing 7 points in the first half to the 49ers. So it's okay. But, both teams are honestly great. Well, the Lions overall, but the 49ers stepped up in the second half. Congratulations to them for winning the NFC. That being said, the 49ers still have a lot of questions, man. Really defensively, they've always been known for their defense, and it's not that they don't have the talent. They still have the same talent for the most part, same pieces, but something about their defense just doesn't seem to be the same, right? They really need to step it up. and you just kind of put some solid performances together. But now, obviously, they have one last game left, so there's not going to be much of an opportunity other than that one final game. Can they do it in the Super Bowl, right? Obviously, their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, has called out the defense as well, which obviously comes to show how much, they've been underperforming as a defensive unit. On the other side, the offense honestly has been great. We're just hoping that Christian McCaffrey is healthy, Brock Purdy, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, and the O-line, right? They have a solid offense. It just really depends on Purdy. He just has to perform, right? Stay up to standard, make sure he's doing his job, because I think for the most part, everyone can agree that the only question for the 49ers that some people have is Brock Purdy. And if he plays and performs according to, how he can, I think 49ers are going to be fine. Just run the ball. Chiefs defense is their go-to their run defense. Chiefs run defense is the point of attack that the 49ers need to focus on. So a lot of Christian McCaffrey you'll be seeing maybe might run over 200 rushing yards total for the 49ers, including McCaffrey and, other running backs, including Purdy. They might combine for 250 rushing yards in the Super Bowl. So this will be exciting to see. I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl. Both teams, honestly, have faced each other and have had a lot of success in the last 5 years. 49ers, if you really think about it, right? If they had a solid quarterback. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo is good, right? He's a good option. But if they had a good to great quarterback, the 49ers, honestly, we might be talking about the 49ers and not the Chiefs today, right? The last 5 years, the Chiefs have 2 Super Bowl. They beat the 49ers directly in one of them. And the other one, they beat the Eagles last year, right? But who did the Eagles beat? The 49ers. Why? Quarterback injury, though, of course, at that time, that's not much you can help with. And this year, again, they're back in the Super Bowl. 3 straight NFC games for the Chiefs. 6 straight for the... 3 straight for the 49ers, 6 straight for the Chiefs. So both teams have been super successful in the last 5 years, 6 years, right? Both great, well coached. Shanahan obviously still wants to win a Super Bowl. He hasn't had the greatest of history, but this is one more chance for him. Ironically, this is probably one of his weakest teams coming in. Not that they are a weak team, but compared to his previous teams, they don't have the same level of performance defensively that they've had in the past. Offensively, though, it seems like, honestly, Brock Purdy might be the most trusted quarterback Kyle Shanahan has had as a 49ers coach, right? I can think of Jimmy Garoppolo is obviously one of them. And I don't think there's any other coach that he was running with. It's just been Jimmy and Brock. And Brock seems to be much more comfortable with the offense and much more commanding and trustworthy as opposed to Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm looking forward to it. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. That offense is that offense. Obviously, even if they've looked a little brittle this year, they can always turn up because that's a very experienced group and they have a lot of continuity from the previous 5-6 seasons. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a good game. It's really, really, really tough to pick a winner. Obviously, with the game right now, I think I'm looking at the favorites right now. I believe when I last checked, the 49ers were a 1.5 point favorite. And right now, looking at it, doesn't show it. Actually, should be. Yep, there we go. It does show. It's going to be still a 1.5 point favorite for the 49ers. To be honest, initially when the game ended against the Ravens for the Chiefs, I really was set on thinking the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, right? They just looked so dominant after that game. And part of it might just be the PTSD from the Ravens loss. I'm not really a Ravens fan. I'm more of a Patriots fan. But my favorite player in the league right now is Lamar, and he's probably slowly sneaking me into becoming a Ravens fan. So I think with just that performance really made them look good. But again, I think looking, more objectively now, 49ers, the Chiefs still have probably some questions to answer on offense. And the 49ers, if their defense can just show up, I think they match better against Travis Kelce. They have I think they have a better defense talent-wise to match up against the Chiefs than maybe the Ravens. The Ravens are a better unit, but in terms of singularly focusing on the Chiefs' main weapons of offense, the 49ers, especially against Kelce, might have a better, matchup. Fred Warner, put maybe a corner on him, right? So we'll see. I'm gonna actually initially, like I said, I thought the Chiefs are gonna win, but looking back and just hearing it out and waiting on it, it really looks like the 49ers might actually win it this year. Well, hard to say initially, I will say, but just as time is passing by, as I'm thinking more about the game, as it marinates more and more, I think the Chiefs might actually get. I'm sorry, the 49ers might actually win this. So I'm gonna pick the 49ers to win the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. And I'm going to predict the final score is going to be somewhere around 27-24, 27-21. But I think 49ers get it. It's going to be somewhere in the 20s for both teams. 27-24 for me. I'll take the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. So there's that. It'll be exciting to see. Sunday, 6:30. So I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl ads, of course, as always. So hopefully you guys all enjoy the game. Have a good time. And, just make sure if you have any comments, please do like the video, subscribe, and leave some comments on the bottom. Any questions, any other topics you want me to talk about in the future. As, a guy who's really a big sports guy, definitely looking forward to talking about sports, but, you'll see me mix it up a little bit. I'm a pharmacist by career, so I'll talk about some, different attributes that are required in the pharmacy field and other just general characteristics that are also required in sports, right? Leadership is one of them, which will be my next video to talk about. So looking at that, I'm going to end the video today. Thank you for your time, and hopefully you have a good time this Super Bowl Sunday. Take care. Have a good time.